Okay, I was really interrupted. Good morning. Obviously, as you can see, we're set up quite a bit differently this morning. The service will look equally different this morning. This is not our new motto. Don't panic. Those of you who are wedded to old things, we're just trying something new this morning, not as a trial forever. We're going to look like this. We'll always be seated at tables. We just want for our kickoff to have a totally different feel. So we just join in the spirit of, hey, let's have a different kind of a Sunday morning. Are you with me? Yeah. Lenora, I can see you not clapping.
I'm ignoring you this morning.
I know that's true. So, welcome this morning for our fall kickoff. This is going to be a fun morning, wildly different than we normally do. It should be a great thing. I know that we have a couple of sick families watching at home. Hopefully they're online now. So the Rebkeys and the Vanderbeens, everybody turn away. Thank you. Can't see any of you. We're zoomed in over here, but it's probably true. On Friday night, the men went to the football game. That was weak, men. Very weak. Hopefully, the cheering was a little bit louder from some people. There were people like Andrew who did no cheering. In fairness, he had no idea what was happening. But there is a big TV. He kept trying to change the channel to something else. He has a universal remote app on his phone, and he kept saying, I'm sure I can get The Simpsons on here. I don't think he watches The Simpsons. That was the name that came into my head. Anyway, we had a great time, except for, of course, the Rider fans who can't quite bring themselves to cheer for Edmonton. And so they were quite silent as Edmonton dominated. Yes! I used to be a Saskatchewan fan too until I found Jesus. Amen! Every time I get up here, I say something that I think, I shouldn't say that. And then it comes out of my mouth anyway. We had a great turnout for the Community Awareness Night, which was on Thursday night. So lots of people showed up and there was lots of interest, some great conversations, I'm told. This Friday and Saturday we have the .Mum conference happening. So for women, it's not just for mums, it's a women's conference. So Friday night and all day Saturday. The cost for that is $20, and if you want to, you can register. There's a sign-up sheet at the back, and then pay your $20 either directly to Maureen or to myself, because we put it on our credit card, and we'd like to pay that off. We're starting a new thing in October. It's called Lunch and Learn. I'm going to give you some more details as we get closer to when that happens, so just be listening for what that might be. And next week, just a reminder, our first, we didn't do prayer meetings through the summer, though we probably should have, but we're going to start up again. It's right after the service in my office. We just get together, we're going to pray for all things church related. If you have personal prayer requests, we'll pray for those as well, but also we're praying for the direction of this church. We're praying for the work that we do, and you're going to hear some of those things today. Okay? Great. Now, as we have set up our tables and everything looks drastically different, but we wanted on this occasion and this day, though it's normally scheduled for the third Sunday of the month, we wanted to do communion together. We thought this was a good day as we gather, as we talk about what church is, as we talk about the things that we're doing as a church body, we thought a great way to center this, to begin this, is to take communion together. And so on every table, there's like a napkin covering the communion elements. And so communion is an important part of church life. It's a part where we stop at least once a month and we say, as Jesus on his last night on earth prepared his disciples, said, as an ongoing thing, please do this in remembrance of the work that I have done here, that I'm going to do, your salvation forever. Please do these things. And so, as he broke the bread and said, this is my body given for you, and as he poured a cup of wine and said, this is my blood shed for you. So we today, symbolically, with gluten-free rice crackers and grape juice, we symbolically enter into that same spirit of saying, Jesus, we thank you for the work that you did, for the powerful message you brought to us, and we thank you for our salvation, which was given at your payment suffering, that we haven't earned, we don't deserve, but we are so thankful that you did anyway. So please, join now and take your cracker. And yes, it'll crunch loudly and proudly. I don't know why people are always embarrassed if it sounds. We should be proud of this moment. We're honoring Jesus Christ. Join with me. He said, take this. This is my blood. And a cup of juice. This is my blood. Now, we were very fortunate, and these round tables were donated to us by Part-Time Baptist Church. Did I just stroke?
You're done.
They didn't donate tablecloths with them, but a little Kijiji-ing, and I found a lady who was selling the remnants of her wedding. And so we got these for a great price as well. So you ask and the Lord provides. You pray and he provides thankful. Okay, and now we have a video for you. read to you from Matthew 16. Starting in verse 16, it says this: Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. It's the first mention of church in the Bible. It's the first mention, and it's mentioned by Jesus. The church is built in Acts. All sorts of things happen to make it there, but Jesus, in that moment, talks about the church. He talks about what the church will be built on. Now, if you're of Catholic origins, you'll recognize that from this passage they have declared that Peter, renamed by Jesus, is the first pope. That they say that because Jesus says Peter was the rock that the church is built upon, and he's the first pope of the church, and it follows therefore. Protestants, Baptists would argue that what he was referring to was what Peter said, which is, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," and that is the rock, the foundation that we build our church on. I'm not debating either of those issues for you today. We can talk about it some other day. But the point is, Jesus takes this moment and he says, we will build a church together. And that church will change the world. Sometimes we sit here on a Sunday morning and we prepare some music, we do some prayer, maybe we take communion, somebody gets up here and speaks, and I think, how are we changing the world? How is this church that Jesus commanded us to create, how are we changing the world? Well, the answer, in large part, is we haven't been. It's not that we don't have will to, it's that we just haven't done it. And I would say there's a whole pile of things that filter into that, and I'm not telling you that starting next Sunday that this church is going to be so radically different that everything in the world will change because of this group of people gathered here on Sunday. But I'm saying the process has to start. We have to start to think outside our walls. Part of that, though, begins we have to start to think outside of our own bodies. There's a very real tendency in our society to only think about ourselves. Maybe you think about your spouse and your kids, but really, outside of your family unit, aside from occasionally, we don't think too much about other people. We think about, should I buy that next tier of cable TV? Or is it time for a new car? We don't think, can I impact my neighbor who's hurting? Can I change something in my life that will impact the community around us? We don't generally do that. The world doesn't teach us to do that. It says you need to have the new Chevrolet that has LTE and 4G built into it. It tells you that things are more important than people. It tells you that yourself, your desires are valid and perfect, and you can have everything if you just work smarter, right? Retire at 55, make this all happen. Jesus has this moment with Simon which is so incredible to me, and I don't know that we honor it enough, where he says to Simon, son of Jonah, your name is Peter, Petros in the Greek. That's the name version of rock, Petra. He changes Simon's name. He changes his identity. And forevermore, Peter is known as Peter, the person who gave the first sermon in the New Testament church, the person who led the disciples from that moment forward. Also the person who started to walk on water and sunk. Also the person who denied Jesus 3 times. Jesus doesn't ask for perfection. Look around at your table. None of us is. That's a shock to you. I'm sorry. You are not. I am not. We are not. But together we can be outside of our bodies. We can be outside of our houses. We can be outside of these church walls and do more. It's not going to happen in one motion. It is going to happen as a process. We're going to begin to do this. We're going to stop thinking of the church as this building or that building. The church is us, and we're commanded by Jesus Christ, no less than the Son of God, to do more than we're doing. I don't tell you this because I think I'm doing it right and you're doing it wrong, because, boy, I am not. I'm telling you this because I feel like this church is called to more. We're called to do better than we're doing. And that means we all have to get involved. You're going to hear in a few moments, you're going to hear a whole bunch of people come up and talk about different areas of service. So some inside this church, some outside this church. They're all good. This is not the end of it. This is the start of it. Get involved. If you're not serving in the church, if you're just coming on Sunday, I'm asking you now, get involved in something. There are needs, you can meet them. Find something that has interest to you and get involved. Because once you start to do that, when we start to do projects outside of these walls, when we start to do some things that already Julie and Maureen and I have done some brainstorming, we have a couple of ideas that we're going to be introducing really soon, that we're going to do stuff that starts inside but is going to impact outside. As we start to do that, you will be more engaged. You will help us to do more for the people that need more. You know, we live in Devon, lots of people have lots of things here, but it's also a community that has needs. You know, I've helped with the Christmas elves for, well, I guess since I got into Devon, you know, at the beginning just minorly and now a little bit more, but and now I make Jesse do it too. But you only have to do it 1 year to see there are families who actually can't feed themselves at Christmas. Like, for them, it's not, do I get the 28-pound turkey or the 26-pound turkey? It's, can I put hamburger with my hamburger helper on Christmas Day? That's shocking. I remember that, maybe it wasn't the first year, but one of the early years, I delivered a hamper to a family, and I remember the mom just crying as I brought in basket after basket of stuff. Just, she had no idea how she was going to make it through. She had no presents for her kids. And I just thought, that is what the church is called to do. And the Christmas elves used to be run by our ministerial in Devon, and it now isn't. It's a separate nonprofit. But there are things this church can do to impact. And I'm telling you now, if you're not interested in that, then you're gonna get tired of hearing me talking about it. Maybe you already are, because I've been talking about it for a little while now, but you're gonna get tired of hearing this. And then you're gonna get tired of me saying things to you personally. You know, the goal here is not to make you feel bad. It's to say, we have resources. Let's use them. Let's impact people. Let's help people who need it. We're not helping people to be a bigger church. We're not helping people to fill our seats. Because if filling our seats is our only goal, I want no part of it. And I guarantee the board feels exactly the same way. We want to impact this community, this province, this nation, this continent for Christ. For that is all we're called for. We, as a group, need to be centered on His desires. I'm not leading the way, I'm following Jesus. And if you're all in that with me and praying for that daily, Christ, show me the way. Christ, show me how our church can help. Christ, show me how I can help. What we can do. Then this will be different. You will feel different. This will look different. It will all be changed starting today, if you want it. It takes a commitment. And I'm saying, I'm committing on your behalf. He hears us. He knows it. I didn't follow any of my notes. So I'm just going to put them away. All right, so now we're going to have some places in the church. We're going to have some people come up and talk about different things that happen in the church, that areas that you can get involved if you're interested in them. So we're